Hey guys, it's your boy LOZA. We're back talking about my favorite deck, the Dark Magician. Now, for those who don't know, my locals held a 1K tournament. Yes, a 1K tournament, as in the first prize got $1,000. I'll show you that here. Here you can see the man who won, who is Josh, holding his fat stacks, and Seb, who came second. They agreed that all the money would go to the first place. They could have done like a kind of a 25-75 split, I believe, or something like that, so both of them kind of got something, but they agreed, just winner takes all, and here is Josh taking it all. So yeah, GG's Josh, the absolute king, and Seb fucking smashed it as well. He was playing a really cool synchro build. Unfortunately, here I am down in 9th place, only on 6 points, which is 2 wins. Big yikes. So, let's get into why I did so poorly and what I think we need to change in the deck moving forward. Well, one of the reasons I did poorly is I believe I haven't been playing enough this past week, and I haven't really adapted my deck for the current meta. Flunderies is a deck I really need to prep for, and I think we will change our deck's build for. In saying that, I didn't actually verse Flunderies at all, but the point of the matter is, I think the deck does need to change, or I need to at least bring something new to it to my locals. I've played the same build for a while now, so something needs to change engine-wise, and I am thinking about dropping the Dogmatika engine just for some new spice, which I will talk about later. But for now, let's get into the card by card. Alright, I'm going to move through the monster lineup really quick because I think it's very stock standard in Dark Magician. So we've got the 2 Dark Magician. They are starter deck Yugioh Dark Magician. They're pretty nice. Then we've got the Red Eyes and the Mana. Apologies for this Red Eyes art. This is a terrible Red Eyes art. I have a starter deck Joey one, but it unfortunately is very damaged, so not really seeing too much play in tournaments because I'm a bit scared to use it. Magician Soul should be at 3 in any Dark Magician list. I am hoping to pick up Secrets soon. Card's very good. And here's Magician's Rod at 3. Now guys, I'm not going to explain these cards. Everyone knows what they do. And if you don't, please go and check out my previous deck profiles. Got a lot of in-depth explanations there. So go check those out, please, if you are a very lost here or if you're new to Dark Magician. I'm going to show off the next 2 monsters part of the Dogmatika package. These cards are never really bricks except in the Flunder matchup, which we'll get to in a bit. I went for Effect Veiler because it's super effective against Flunder. You really want to negate that Eglin search, or Eglin search. We also just know that, Effect Veiler is good against Sword Soul, or Ash kind of sucks against Sword Soul. And while Ash is still good against other decks, Sword Soul should be the most dominant deck at most locals, or, most tournaments. So I think just playing your hand traps like Impermanent Veiler is pretty good just to counter Sword Soul, but the problem is in Dark Magician, I feel like we need higher impact hand traps, stuff like Nibiru. I'm siding these Nibiru, so they're not part of the main right now. I love main decking Nibiru, but it's just not the meta for it. Like Flunder get a negate or the Wind Barrier statue out before 5 summons. Every other deck, like Sword Soul, gets out a negate before 5 summons, unless they bricked, and there's no point playing for brick. Nibiru is pretty good against the Tri-Brigade Bird list, but even then it can be pretty terrible. So I opted for these hand traps in Impermanent Veiler, and they did feel, I just want to point out that they did feel like kind of low value. Very generic, but low value. So I'm looking to play something else maybe, or even maybe put Ash back in. I know Ash sucks against Sword Soul, but it's at least a bit more generic and kind of hits everything evenly. I just feel like hand traps this format are a little rough. You could play Droll. I always feel like Droll isn't as impactful as Nibiru. Nibiru in this deck's just really good because not only does it clear the field, hopefully, it gives us a body to either swing with or link away with for Anaconda, and sometimes we just need that in this deck. We really don't have too many extenders outside of Magician Souls. Let's get into the best card in the deck, and that's of course 3 Red Eyes Fusion. This card is just insane, guys. You got to play it at 3. I've upgraded to the Ultras. I hope you enjoy. I think they look very sexy. We've got Magical Eyes Fusion here at 1. I think you got to play it, guys. It lets you summon your second Dragoon, and who doesn't love a second Dragoon, right? This card kind of goes along with the Red Eyes Fusion package. It's super good for making sure your Red Eyes Fusion resolves. Also, just if you need to dodge random other hand traps, or against like Golden Lord decks, getting rid of that Golden Lord can be very essential for winning the matchup. And there's a couple of more scenarios like this. You could use it on a Celestial or a DPE kind of thing. So yeah, Call by the Grave always just has a place in your deck, I feel. There's barely ever a time when it's irrelevant, especially like Phantom Knights are around right now too. So man, Call by the Grave, you'd be silly not to play it. We're going to look at our Striker package, Engage Drones, and Eagle Booster. Now, unfortunately, Eagle Booster did brick in my hand a bit this week. That's just a thing that's going to happen, I guess. But Engage and Hornet Drones are still such good cards. I would recommend playing at least these two. You don't have to play the Eagle Booster. But I do like the Eagle Booster a lot as well. Normally, it's very good for protecting Anaconda. The Deer Servant, I am still playing the Dogmatika package. As I mentioned earlier, I am kind of looking to drop it, just because against the Flunder deck, it's really hard. Besides Nadir giving you a pop, you can't really ever summon Fleur-de-Lis. Ecclesia is okay. We just need a better way to deal with Flunder, in my opinion, and I have kind of conjured a new way to beat them. We'll see. If it works, and I'll let you guys know. But anyway, we've got Monster Reborn at 1. I was trying this out. You know, some people say it's terrible because, oh, you can open it with, like, no monsters. I don't think that's ever really the case. I think 99% of the time when you see this card, either you've got a monster in the grave or your opponent does, and because we play Artemis, we can easily link away Rod or Magician Souls for this Artemis, and then just use Monster Reborn on them, and voila, we've made our way to Anaconda. Not to mention this can bring back Dragoon, so don't forget that obviously if you bring back Dragoon, it's got no pops, but you can just Monster Reborn Dragoon. And cool, you've got a Omni Negate on the field that is pressuring your opponent. Don't forget that you can also Monster Reborn your Anaconda. In the tournament the other day, someone used Punishment on my Anaconda when I summoned it, and I was like, okay, Monster Reborn, and brought it back. And, like, that's just such an insane interaction right there. Because I'm playing Selene and Access Code in the extra deck too, Monster Reborn does help us go into these cards, so... Once again, I'm really liking Monster Reborn now that I have my Access and Selene, which I've kind of spoiled for later in the video, but I think it's necessary to show you guys that now. Upstart Goblin still at 1. This card is so insane. It interacts with Circle, it interacts with Soul Servant. It means if you open Rod and Upstart, you can always get to Anaconda Dragoon, which is absolutely insane. This card is also crazy, as we just mentioned, with Upstart. So Soul Servant and Upstart are like best buddies, right? Soul Servant stacks Magician Souls and Upstart draws it, but you normally want to do it in this order. You want to play that Upstart first, because your opponent won't ash this, right? No one's going to negate an Upstart Goblin. So you play this first, and then you want to chain the Soul Servant. I see some people use Soul Servant and then Upstart, and that's incorrect, guys. You always want to play the Upstart first, and then activate the Soul Servant, because your opponent's never going to ash an Upstart. If they do, they're very silly. You can just play your Red Eyes Fusion from there. Anyway. So yes, Upstart, then your Soul Servant, normally stacking Magician Souls. You could also stack Rod if you need Rod, and that's just what I really love about Upstart. It synergizes super well with this card, and also this card right here. Dark Magic Circle, I'm still playing it at 1, and I'm still absolutely fine with that. You can play it at 2, you can play it at 2 easily, but I still think it's fine at 1. What's really nice about Upstart in this card is in games 2 and 3, when you've sided in like Lanciers and like hand traps you want to see, like Nibiru, Droll, whatever, Dark Magical Circle Reveal 3, you could find one of them on top, stack it on top, and then Upstart into it, or Soul Servant draw into it. I like that aspect of Circle. It's still not the best card, I'm going to be honest. But Upstart does help make this card a little bit better, I want to say, as well as Soul Servant and the rest of the deck. So I think Upstart's kind of mandatory with all these cards. The last Dark Magician spell I'm playing is Salvation. The field spell that I just wish did a little bit more. I know it can summon Dark Magician Girl, but let's be real, that effect doesn't come up too much. And it's just not that relevant. It's normally just sent away for draws with Soul Servant. That's its main use, to be honest, and it's a very easy side out. Now, people have been asking me what I side out when going second, and you have to understand that these two cards are essentially blank cards. This is another copy of Eternal Soul, and this is just any card. So these are very easy to side out games 2 and 3. And people will need to remember that. Eternal Soul, it is the literal soul of the deck. It lets us revive Dark Magician over and over and over and over, and lets us win the grind game. Unfortunately, it wipes our field if it leaves the field, and that's why we hope to have Dragoon up, but we won't always have it. But it's still one of the coolest cards we have. I do really love this card, but I do just think 1 is the perfect ratio for it, because if I do need more copies of it, I can recycle it with Soul Servant. A lot of people seem to forget that. Yes, it can be Cosmic Cyclone and then you can't get it. Bad luck, go to the next game. Honestly, I think playing around Cosmic Cyclone is a little bit tedious, but you could do that if you wish. 2 copies of Eternal Soul is always fine anyway. Dogmatika Punishment. Pretty good card, even if you're not playing Nadir or Ecclesia or Fleur, you could still play Punishment. It's just a really good trap to play. Speaking of good traps to play, we're playing the Imperial Order and the Skill Drain. These cards are just insane. Floodgates, absolutely cracked. And don't forget that you can actually turn them off. A lot of people seem to forget that Magician Souls actually sends for cost. So you could summon out your Magician Souls by sending either Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl or Mana, whatever you're playing. Mahad even. And then on field, you can use Magician Souls effect, say, sending both Skill Drain and Imperial Order to the grave for cost to draw 2. your opponent can respond, and then you may draw 2. Now, what's cool about that is, yeah, your opponent can negate the draws, but you've already got what you wanted, right? You wanted to get rid of the floodgates. You wanted to not play around the floodgates anymore, and that's exactly what you're doing. So I really do like floodgates in this deck because you can turn them off on your turn. It kind of reminds me of True Draco. Now, obviously, we don't always have Magician Souls. So you might be thinking, well, LOZA, we've only got 3 copies of Magician Souls. We're not always going to see it. And you're right. But guess what? Illusion of Chaos is coming out in February. That's 2 months away. We're in December now. Once we have Illusion of Chaos, we'll have 3 prep, and we'll have 3 Illusion of Chaos. That means we'll have 9 copies of Magician Souls. 9 of these bad boys, which means that strategy is so much more viable, we could play more Floodgates even. Alright, in the extra deck, we've got our double copies of Dragoon. I don't think that's surprising, guys. Dragoon is one of the best cards we can play. It's our boss monster. It's what we turbo out. I don't think much more needs to be said. We've got Anaconda. Anaconda is such a good card. Please play this card. A lot of people are screaming for its ban. That just means you need to play the card, guys. If a card is good, people will cry. So keep playing the card, please. And probably one of the most important link ones we can play is the Artemis. She is super good for recycling Rod and setting up just the Dark Magician recycle. She's super good for setting up the whole Dark Magician recycling Rod concept and just, renewing our resources and keeping us relevant in the game. But she also is really good if you're playing Dogmatika stuff. Obviously, she's a very easy link to make off your Magician Souls or off your Rod. And then you can just go into all your Dogmatika stuff, so it's really cool. Alright, our next 2 link ones are I'm Duck and Link Spider. These guys are for Dark Magician. Now, you might be thinking why I'm playing both. Well, it's a little tricky, but when you have Dark Magician on the field, right, you can send it away for either of these, and the option you pick depends on a couple of things. It depends on whether, like, the rest of your hand. So if you actually have Magicalized Fusion in your hand, you've managed to open it, you send Dark Magician away for I'm Duck, because I'm Duck is a dragon, right? So you could play Magicalized from there, and boom, you've got yourself a Dragoon. Alright, the next 2 big boys that you've already seen, we've got the Access Code and the Selene. These cards are just insane, guys. These cards let you get either back to your Dragoon or into Access Code, like, absolutely crazy. And half the time going second, people are going to try and negate your Anaconda, right? And if they don't negate it with something like Gamma or something that destroys, like if they use Burrowload Savage to negate it, this stays on the field, right? And then you just link climb with it. All you got to do from there is play an extender like your Monster Reborn or like your Fleur-de-Lis, and then you just got to start climbing. I think I need to play more extenders, by the way. That's one of the notes I want to make. Because climbing into Selene Access Code going second is just so insane. Helps you win back the board without using, like, anything, really. And then you can still set your Eternal Soul and Circle and stuff and, like, set up for next turn. So I really like this shit for just, generic going second stuff. Here's the Dogmatika package stuff. Now I'm thinking of dropping Dogmatika for a bit. I just want to try something else while we have Flunders in the format. But anyway, the point here is Eldensity's a good card. It pops, and Ash Dragon gets the Dogmatika stuff going. I don't think that's too hard to know. We've got Omega here. Omega is the big spice. The big spicy man. Now, why is Omega here? Well, Omega shuffles stuff back, right? And normally you're going to use the shuffle back Phoenix Enforcer. It's really good to just not have to deal with that card anymore. So Omega helps with not having to think about that anymore. Another thing you can do is I've actually sent back Red Eyes after activating a ref and getting Dragoon out. I've used like punishment on a deer, sending Omega, and I've shuffled back the Red Eyes on my turn, and that meant I could play my second ref, because we do play that 2 Dark Magician. So that is really cool. That's a niche interaction, by the way. That won't come up much, but when it does come up, you kind of feel really big brain. Let's look at the last 3 cards of the extra deck. We've got the 1 Kagari, the 1 Kana, and the 1 Link Karibo. These are just so our engage and our drones actually get us to Anaconda, and we can maybe win in time with Kana one day. And yeah, Link Karibo has a lot of cool interactions in this deck, aside from just being used for a Sky Striker token. You can use Magician Soul's effect to draw, and if Link Karibo is in your grave, you can tribute it, and special Link Karibo, and that will dodge Imperm and Veiler. It won't dodge Ash, but it still dodges a couple of things, and that's really nice. Alright, we're getting into the side deck cards here. You can see I've decided Village. Unfortunately, no one is playing Sky Striker at my local at the moment, so it's probably a bit of a silly side by me. If you do go to a bigger event, I would recommend Village at 2 or 3, because people like to play Sky Striker DPE. They think it's a good deck, and look, it's pretty decent, but we actually win that matchup really hard. Sky Striker struggle to out Dragoon, and if Village is up, they are not playing. Mind Control, super good card. to play in the matchup against Tri-Brigade Birds because they have Utopic Future Dragon, whatever it's called. He's a monster negate, right? And he can't be destroyed by battle or card effect. But he can be targeted, so you're going to target and try to take him with this, and then you have a negate to use against the opponent. And it also steals their cards. So you're going to get 2 cards for 1 with this mind control, and it means you can play. So yeah, super helpful for beating the Tri-Brigade matchup. Obviously it's at 1, so if you see it, you see it. If you don't, oh well. This card's kind of the MVP of the side deck, and it's like 20 fucking cents. So do yourself a favor, if you don't have droplets, I would recommend playing droplets, but if you don't, play Chalice. It's 20 cents or some shit, like 50 cents for a card. So please get it. I want to point something out as well. Chalice and Ref wins you the Sword Soul matchup. Their board normally ends on Fleur, their level 8 Synchro, and the trap card that tributes the level 8 Synchro Worm to pop 2 or return 2, whatever. So they target, right, and Fleur obviously doesn't target. But all you're going to do is you're going to slap down Ref. If they have Ash, they have Ash. Whoop-de-doo, go to the next game. If they don't have Ash, they're going to use the Fleur to negate this, right? And all you're going to do is slap down Chalice and say, Chalice targeting Fleur, done. Done. You've won the game. You have Dragoon out. You go Dragoon effect, pop Fleur, that's 3k burn. Dragoon effect, pop the Synchro, that's 2-8 damage. That's 5-8. That's 5,800 damage. You go to the battle phase, swing with Dragoon, that's the game. You're done. You're done. So Chalice and Ref is super insane, and it wins you a lot of games going second. I'm thinking about even main decking Chalice. It's really that good, but it does kind of have a similar effect as Imperm. You would just have to play the Imperm first. In that scenario, so you would imperm the Fleur and then you would immediately play the Ref. So very similar mechanic here. So Chalice and Imperm both very good this format. Highly recommend them. Obviously Droplets or Dark Ruler are fine too, but you can see if I had Dark Ruler there I wouldn't win the game immediately, but with Chalice and Ref I win the game immediately there, so that's really cool to know. Alright, moving on, we've got some board wipe cards. These aren't too good, like they're good against Flunder, so I'll say that. The new trap decks with Old Lich are playing that Lord of the Sky Prison, so these cards don't really hit it, unfortunately, but that is why we are playing the triple evenly. That does hit the trap decks very hard. They have to use Solemn Judgment or they're going to lose their game. So yeah, really good card to defeat that deck, or at least get them to burn half their LP. Evenly Matched is also good against other decks. So yeah, just try to see it. Unfortunately, all my sides this weekend, the only card I saw when I sided was Chalice in one of my games. Unfortunately, everything else I just didn't see. I don't know, just unlucky, I guess. And that is going to be it for the deck profile, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something new about the deck. And if you do have any questions, don't be afraid to ask me down in the comments why I'm playing a certain card or what I think of your spicy tech. So hit me up with that and I will let you know about my spicy techs to beat Flunder in the next week or so. I want everyone to ask me something in the comments, whether it's about Dark Magician or anything else. Hit me up. And I'll catch you guys soon. See ya!